What's going on YouTube? Tim Plague here, and we are back to the channel, and we are really ramping up here. My schedule's about to get extremely busy, but I think it's worth it. And it is Wednesday, September the 14th, and you know what that means. Season 2 of Blindspot is back, and you know, we had a nice hiatus after some huge reveals in the last couple of episodes of Season 1, particularly the last episode of Season 1. We found out that Weller's father did, in fact, kill Taylor Shaw. We found out that he also buried her under the fort where they would go camping when Weller was a kid, along with Taylor. We also saw Jane kill Oscar, her fiance, in self-defense. She initially wanted him to bring him in so that he could answer for Mayfair's death, as well as give all the information as far as this shadowy organization that Jane was a part of. Also, Mayfair left with Reed, Zapata, and oh boy, Patterson with a flash disk or flash drive with some information about Daylight, which was the program that Mayfair was a part of, I believe. Orion, there's another program, and then another file, just some letters and numbers, and them trying to figure out what it was all about. Obviously, they knew that the blood that was found at the crime scene was Mayfair's, so it was pretty obvious to them that she was dead, but they never got a confirmation. And of course, the last thing that happened is Weller confronting Jane and arresting her for lying. Now, the thing this episode needed to do, and this is a spoiler review, so yeah, the title of the video clearly indicates that it's a spoiler review, so I am going to be breaking down this episode. So this is, you know, a discussion piece for people who have enjoyed the episode already. That being said, which shows the first episode of the second season really shows how strong this show is, and this show it gets an A+ for me. Maybe not an A+, but it gets an A. This was a great episode. Getting into it, we start off. Jane is at a secret CIA black site, and she is being held and tortured for information. It's been 3 months since the ending of the first season, and while she's being tortured, she's having flashbacks to some training that she's been getting to withstand torture. Basically, mind over matter. Tell her mind to go somewhere so that she can overcome the pain. There's a guy with a scar and a beard, with a hood. You really don't see his face, but he's the one talking to Jane. So basically, it's a lot of wait for the right moment, which she does. She tries to drown herself while they're dunking her head in water by obviously inhaling the water, and they basically inject her with something to, you know, start her heart up, which she was expecting, and she breaks out, beats up some guards, she gets hit, knocked out, taken back to her cell. But we see that this was all so that she could get a piece of the needle stuck in her arm to break out of the handcuffs. Also, she tied something to the drain grate in the middle of the floor, which she uses as a weapon. So she used the needle to get out of her handcuffs. She incapacitates the guys fairly easily using the drain thing that's like a makeshift weapon, and she breaks out. She's at a gas station, actually, and there was two guys. One of them, the guy behind the counter, seems like he knew what was going on. Jane took him out before he could shoot her with a shotgun, and then she basically steals the keys from the customer and drives off. Now, this takes us right into a chase scene. We have the old team, Weller, Patterson, or Weller, Reed, and Zapata. They're chasing. They get to a house. They go in. Weller asks, "Are you sure she's here?" And Reed says his intel is solid. Then they hear a motorbike being started up, and they look out, and there we see the woman getting away on the motorbike. So Weller jumps on one and chases after her, while Reed and Zapata, they get in the SUV to try to box her off. So while he's chasing her, he gets some information from Patterson, who tells him to, there's a shortcut he can take. So he does. The woman starts shooting at him, and he shoots at her, takes out the back tire, she crashes, and we get the big reveal. It's not Jane. But it was done awesomely. I mean, you would have thought it was Jane the way everything was going down. Obviously, with the show, they're going to do something to get her back with this team, because, they're sticking around, and that's what made the show so great. So, basically, they were chasing a counterfeiter, which they captured her, and basically Reed mentioned how it was very anticlimactic, which hilariously it was, and it almost seemed like they were saying it to mimic what the audience might be saying, because you really thought it was Jane they were chasing. And Zapata, she makes a statement that they miss following the lead given by the tattoos that were on Jane. At this moment, a helicopter arrives, and this helicopter, it lands, and there's a woman, obviously she's someone in the intelligence agency, I'm trying to remember her name. Her name was Nas. Played by Archie Panjabi, I believe that's how the name is pronounced. She's with NSA, and she's telling them that she needs their help. She's been tracking the group that Jane was actually a part of. She mentioned that she'd known about it ever since Jane was, probably before Jane was left in Times Square, and never told the FBI about any of this, which obviously upsets them. But she does say that, she needs to work with Jane due to the fact that, she could tell that Jane was ready to flip on them. Now, that being said, Weller and the team, they don't know where Jane is, and she informs them that the CIA took her to a black site, which, they automatically know that means torture for 3 months. So, they're not too happy about that either. Not so much out of, maybe I shouldn't say that. I mean, they are concerned about Jane, someone they worked with closely for months. But getting back to the episode, they set up a sting operation, and with this sting operation, they're able to find out where Jane is. She's working at a motel as a maid, and basically, she's just trying to lay low. It's cash under the table, no paychecks, no way for anyone to find her. So basically, they're there. They realize she's not trying to run, so Weller decides he's going to go in, by himself. But obviously Reed and Zapata, they object to this, so he says, okay, fine, you guys can cover the exit. So Weller goes in, and he goes down the hall, you know, sees that there's a maid cart there, and he's checking the room. Obviously, Jane gets a drop on him because she's Jane, and they have this. It's kind of an emotional moment because, from Jane's point of view, Weller handed her over to the CIA to be tortured. Obviously, that's not what Weller did. He mentions that he wanted her to face justice for what she did, you know, the legal way, the right way, and which she doesn't believe. So they break out, you know, fight breaks out between the two of them. They put on their best WWE hardcore match, you know, slamming up against walls. They were really going at it. It was awesome. Weller at one point slammed her into the maid car. It was awesome. But Jane got the best of him. Or not really got the best of him. She was on the ground, and but she got another gun pointing at him, but Zapata and Reed, of course, enter. She has to give up. Now, one of the best things that this episode did to basically not ignore anything that happened in season 1, but to address all of those loose ends and basically tie them up as neatly as possible. They basically gave her this high-tech lie detector, which it was an MRI. They put in some radioactive fluid into her veins, and basically it would monitor anything, whether her blood flow changes, anything. So they said it's 100% reliable. And so Nas, she interrogates Jane and asks all these questions and say, you know, when did you first meet, you know, the group, or when did you first meet Oscar? She recounts where Carter kidnapped her and tortured her, and then Oscar came and saved her by killing him. And they played the video for her that she made for herself prior to getting her memory wiped. Also, she went into detail about the fact that they basically blackmailed her into doing this by threatening Weller and the rest of the team, which is why she went along with it. And basically, she did, you know, own up to the fact that the things she did is what made them able to frame Mayfair in the first place for murder. So, she then, of course, said what everyone had known, but had never actually been said out loud to the team, that Mayfair was dead. She was killed by Oscar, and then, of course, that she killed Oscar when he attacked her, and, you know, so basically, this upsets everyone, and you can see how emotional it is, especially when it's mentioned that it's confirmed that Mayfair is dead. You know, you see Zapata; she has tears in her eyes. It's really emotional. Did a very good job at acting and just the directing of the entire scene. You know, obviously the main focus was on Jane and Nas and the interrogation, but also we wanted to see these people's reactions that we had, you know, worked with so closely for 23 episodes previously. So after that, there was a huge debate as to what's going to happen. Weller does not trust Jane. He says the only reason she said it is because she was caught, and it was a 100% effective lie detector. So, you know, the smart thing to do would be to tell the truth in that instance. So he doesn't believe her. But Nas does remind him that she came to know these people, came to care about these people, and obviously we knew that, you know, what was going on between Weller and Jane in season 1. So, yeah. So obviously there was feelings there between the two of them, you know, from her. Also the fact that Oscar killed Mayfair in front of her, you know, she's a good person. But I mean, the threat is just bigger than, you know, their personal feelings. So Weller agrees, and they have their first face-to-face meet. That's not a, you know, knockdown, drag down, you know, WrestleMania match. So he releases her from the lie detector, the MRI, and tells her that, you know, he didn't know that the CIA, he didn't hand her over to the CIA. They took her. Jane, of course, then informed him, never wanted to hurt Mayfair. And the only reason she did what she did was because they threatened Weller and the team. So, basically, what they're going to do now is use Jane. They're going to put her back undercover. So she's going to be a triple agent. They're going to put her back undercover with the group that they have called Sandstorm. Which, as far as code names go, the reason they gave them that code name was the one thing about the episode that I didn't hate. It was a little, wow, they let you pick code names based on personal experiences in your life, which I'll get to later. So, Jane was going to go back undercover with this group Sandstorm, and the narrative she was going to use to, make it seem it's been 3 months, where have you been, was that Cade, the guy who tried to kill Oscar and Jane in season 1 due to Oscar killing Marcos, who, Marcos and Cade were like brothers, and Jane had already set up that Cade was alive, which he is, and that he was after her, which is going to happen for real. It's got to be a good payoff after everything that happened in this episode, particularly. So she was going to say that Cade captured her and tortured her for 3 months, and she was able to escape, and then she was going to call the secret number that set up like a pizza place to get back into the group. So now getting to the Sandstorm thing. Call him Sandstorm, as a code name, and we're not there yet, sorry. So they take her out of town to a payphone. She calls the number, and this person answers the phone, tells her to go to a certain address. Now he turns, you see the same scar from the flashbacks at the beginning of the episode. The voice is very familiar and interesting, and I was trying to that voice sounds familiar. And, me being the idiot that I can be at times, was like, is that Oscar? But then, that wouldn't make any sense. Oscar obviously knows that Jane is against him, so he wouldn't try to help her. Plus, he was pretty dead, and crispy after being impaled through his chest, and, the barn he was in being set ablaze, and him being left there. So, that made no sense. But, I have these lapses in judgment from time to time. But yeah, so we continue to go, and Jane, she's suspecting, hey, does this sound right? I don't think this in and of itself is going to work. They have to know that, Cade really had me, and they were saying you've been tortured for 3 months. That's enough. But she said no. Cade was out for blood. He's the best they had. There's no way they're going to believe I was able to just escape. Sure, I was tortured for 3 months, but it was nothing I can't handle. But, Cade is crazy. So she says to Weller that you have to shoot me. And so Weller pulls out his gun, and this scene was amazing because while they were, doing the phone call on the payphone, Reed and Zapata were talking to each other. And Zapata, of course, is pissed. Everything would happen with Mayfair in season 1 between the two of them, and then Mayfair, dying and them knowing about it. She was angry. She doesn't trust Jane, obviously, and was saying that they shouldn't be helping her. And Reed, of all people, makes the logical thing, saying, look, remember it was white. These people were using her, as a pawn, and now we're using her as a pawn. Almost feel sorry for her. Almost. So Jane tells Weller that he needs to shoot her. And Nas, of course, is like, no, what are you doing? This is stupid. Don't shoot her. Especially not out in the open like this, which was the most hilarious thing about the scene to me. So he pulls out his gun, and he asks her, Was she there when Mayfair died? She said yes. And then he asks her, what was the last thing Mayfair said to you? So she tells him the last thing that she said was, I can't wait to see the look on Kurt's face when he finds out what you are. And then, obviously Kurt's getting real mad, emotional. We hear the gunshot. But Kurt, of course, didn't shoot her. This is how he did. Hilarious. Out in the open, broad daylight. Very funny. Sure, it's not FBI vehicles, but, they did just shoot a person. So, Jane gets in the car and drives away to the address. As she's driving, she has a tracker in her tooth that she takes out. They're monitoring the tracker, and she ditches the tracker. Now, this tracker is supposed to be top of the art. You see a flashback with Knox telling Jane they won't be able to see it if they scan it. It's, the technology, it only exists with the NSA. No one else has it. So, Jane throws it out, which Willer's like, yeah, that's a smart thing to do. They're going to scan her as soon as they see her. So, get rid of the tracker. So, Jane gets to, actually, they talk to Kurt, and because nobody wants to do this, they're only doing it for Mayfair. They talk to Kurt, and you talk about the files that Mayfair had and the fact that the NSA would be able to help. So the Orion, they found out, was like a Navy SEAL team, like SEAL Team 6, but they killed a lot of people, innocent people. They blew up, a lot of stuff and framed into other people. And the last file, which is just the letters and the numbers, don't remember exactly what they were, it was just a picture of a black hole, which obviously is something more, but they just don't know. So they asked the NSA to use their, servers to, look to see what's going on there, which obviously the NSA wants to keep under wraps. Obviously, there's a lot of tension there between Kurt and Nas, which, we know how tension is handled on these shows. It's a very attractive woman and testosterone-fueled main character. Obviously, something's going to happen between the two because, even though this is a drama, an action drama, everything has to have some kind of romantic subplot and, a triangle would actually, add some more depth, you can say. So, Weller and the lady, they have an argument, just the two of them, and this is where we find out why this group is called Sandstorm. She mentions that Weller's upset because she knew all of this about Jane, and it could have saved Mayfair, which it would have, actually. They would have just come out and said something, but they didn't. So, the lady, she mentions that the scare, she was the scaredest she'd ever been was with her father, and a sandstorm came up. They couldn't see anything. She just held on to her father. She was extremely terrified. Which is why she named this group Sandstorm, because, she felt the same way she did then with this group's abilities and the things they've been able to do. Hilarious. Not necessarily in a good way, but not 100% in a bad way either. Just funny to me. But she does tell Weller the reason why she did not come forward. She says that basically one of the people on her team, they had a mole. The Sandstorm had a mole in the group, and it was a friend of hers. And by the time he was caught, he had already killed had 3 of her people killed, who were moles inside the Sandstorm. So that's why she didn't come out. So now Jane gets to the address, and the guy with the scar and the beard and goatee with the hoodie is revealed, and it is Luke Mitchell, Lincoln, from seasons 2 and 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Obviously, that's not his name on the show. That would be just hilarious. But it's Lincoln, and looks, like he's been working out, So, I mean, he's part of a secret terrorist group, and all of them seem to, know how to beat up people for no reason at all. So, he definitely fit the mold. So, Jane says that she remembers him from her flashbacks. You remembered the training she received from him, hold up under torture. He saw that she was shot. He said it was a medical cache not too far from there, so that's where he's taking her. Obviously, Jane wants to get to Shepard to complete this part of her mission. So, as they're going, she keeps having flashbacks to a little boy who also has that same scar. So, obviously, they've known each other for a long time. But, of course, they turn into a checkpoint. The police searching the cars. And there's no way they were boxed in. They couldn't back their way out of it. So, he gives Jane his hoodie to cover up her wound, and they're going to talk their way out of it. So, they do a terrible job. It's, the guy kills all the police officers at the checkpoint very efficiently. Again, beating up people for no reason, but with guns and shooting and killing them. So, yeah, they were pretty much dead. I would have not damaged the vehicle that we were using as transportation, which didn't seem damaged anymore when they got to the hospital. But they get to the hospital, and he runs in. A police officer knocks on the window while he's gone, asks Jane if she needs help. He comes in dressed like a nurse, takes Jane in to do some quick surgery. So obviously there's a connection between the two. He says how good it is to see her, things like that. She mentioned Oscar and how, he told her she wasn't Taylor Shaw. He mentions Oscar shouldn't have been her handler, which, hindsight. Yeah, it was a bad idea. Everything went horribly wrong for this group because Oscar was her handler, in all honesty. When she says things, when she puts her foot down, basically, she says it's good to see you again. He misses and how much he misses her. So he patches her up as best he can, as quickly as he can, in the hospital. Says they've known each other for a long time, and they make their way to where Shepard is going to meet them. Now, in this time, Nas makes it known that she put a secondary tracker in Jane's belt, which she says is impossible for anyone to, see. This secret terrorist group who put all these tattoos on Jane, had her infiltrate the FBI, framed the director of the FBI. Yeah, they can't possibly sense this tracker. Amateurs, they suck. Yeah, so Kurt and team are like, you idiot. They're gonna kill her when they see, she has this tracker. So, it was a very hilarious exchange between Weller and Patterson as he's trying to get her to deactivate the tracker. She says it's not meant to be deactivated remotely. He says, well, reprogram it. She's like, that doesn't make sense. But she's able to, of course, because it's a TV show and they can't very well kill Jane. Disable the tracker right when Jane gets scanned. Now, the actress who is playing Shepard, because it's a she, I remember her mainly from forgot that quick. Law & Order SVU. She was Munch's partner in Law & Order SVU towards the beginning. The Michelle Hurd, the black lady. That's who's playing Shepard. And we find out a lot of information, in all honesty. Something bad. I mean, you can argue that they should have left it as a reveal, but, I mean, that part of the show isn't what's the most interesting thing anymore. So we got to learn who Jane is. We found out she wasn't Taylor Shaw, but we did find out who she really was, and the fact that she was born in Africa. And basically her family was anti-apartheid. So they were killed. The government took her as a child, put her in this death camp, kind of like from season 1 of Agent Carter, where they trained all the Black Widows. And that's where she met the dude with the scar, her brother, so to speak. I'm trying to remember what her name was. Her actual name. Took some notes and I'm looking. Alice Kruger was her name. Anticlimactic, you know, I know. But it was never going to be as awesome as if she was Taylor Shaw, which I'm glad she's not. Anyway, getting back to it. They took her to this death camp, and they basically trained them to be soldiers. Now, when apartheid fell, there was no need for this camp, so all of the children were put into adoption agencies. Now, Shepard, she was an American soldier, and she was there fighting for, you know, people's freedom. But Jane and her brother, Lincoln from previously from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., were too dangerous to put in foster care, so she decided to raise them herself. And, you know, what a mom, you know, turn them into assassins. So they chose new names. Jane's new name was Remy, his Roman. I don't know if that has some significance or not, but whatever. So it was actually very touching and emotional for her, like, because Jane, she doesn't know all of it. I mean, you know, her memory was wiped. She doesn't know who she is, and you could tell the immediate conflict. You know, this person who raised me after my parents were murdered by the government, and this is my brother. So you could see the conflict in her face. So, you know, and of course she gives Jane a hug, says that she needs her to go back and say, you know, that what you told us about Cade torturing you, we're going to use him torturing you to let you infiltrate the FBI again. Funniest thing. Like, I mean, I know I said the Sandstorm thing was the funniest thing, but that was funny in a, like, outside of the show way. This was hilarious. Hilariously ironic that the lie Jane used to infiltrate back with Sandstorm is going to be used to infiltrate the FBI. So, her brother Roman gives her a Metro Pass, but he can't drive her to the FBI. He gives her this coin that she had, that was hers, and sends her back. So they have the little talk, Weller, Nas, and Jane, and you know, she did tell them that Shepard is her mom, raised her, this is her brother. Weller or Nas leaves, and you know, Jane asks why Weller never told her about her tooth and the fact that there was a grain of sand that suggested she was from Africa. And of course, Weller said because he wanted her to be Taylor. More than anything, he really wanted her to be Taylor Shaw. I mean, which is obvious, you know. It made the fact that, you know, if she was Taylor Shaw, oh, my father did not kill this girl, you know. And this is someone who was a friend of mine, and I felt guilty that I couldn't protect her. Yeah, you can totally understand why, you know, plus her DNA matched. So, you know, but he's an FBI agent. You can kind of blame him, but not really. He's human. So then he says, counterpoint, how did you get those memories that you said you had with my dad, because you're not a Taylor? So then she mentions that Oscar gave her the pictures and told her to lie. He asked her why, and she said because, you know, she thought she wanted to be Taylor. And so, obviously, I mean, it's a terrible thing. We know Jane, she framed Mayfair. Obviously, she didn't know that was going to happen, but she did. But we know who Jane is. ever since she came out of that duffel bag in episode 1 of the first season. But we know it's going to happen throughout the course of this season to where, she may not be on perfect terms with everyone, but it's going to be pretty good terms. So Weller leaves, and we go back to Shepard and Roman, and he's saying, "Do you believe her?" And Roman's like, "Yeah, it's my sister. Yeah, I believe her. Sure, her memory's gone, but she's in there. I can tell. She, in the way she was so assertive and things like that. That's my sister." But Shepard isn't convinced, so he says that. So Roman's like, "Why don't you just activate our mole that we have in the FBI and, have that mole see." So then it shows a flash at this point of the potential suspect. So it shows the guy who basically came in and took Mayfair's position. Forget his name. I never wanted to learn it because I didn't think he'd be important. Go figure, he's in this episode too. Then it shows Weller. Then it shows Patterson. Then it shows the doctor. For the only time he was in this episode, the psychiatrist. Re-infiltrating, of course, shows all of them, and of course Nas as potential suspects. So this is the game we're playing. Then it shows that they're standing in front of what looks like a rocket or a missile, very long, which is what's supposed to be their end game. So maybe they're trying to hold the country for ransom, or they're trying to blow something up. Who knows? Maybe they want to go to Mars. They were talking about that colony. Maybe they're trying to do that. Maybe they really like the movie The Martian, and they're trying to get that rocket to get them there. Obviously, that's not what's going on. However, that would be the best thing ever if that's what they were trying to do. They were big fans of Matt Damon and The Martian. They weren't too happy with Jason Bourne. They loved The Martian, and they wanted to go to Mars. That would be great if that were the case, but I doubt it. It's a good 60% chance that could be the case, but I doubt it. So basically, last thing it shows, Nas was able to help him with finding some pictures under one of the files, and one of the pictures it showed was in a desert. It looked like showed a woman in a military uniform laid out on her back, and this woman was Jane. So that was the episode, and it did a great job of setting up how this second season is going to go, while still giving us what was so great about the first season, this dynamic between this FBI team and Jane. So obviously some things are going to be different, but and plus there's the thing about the mole that's in the FBI. Obviously we're going to find out about Nas's partner or friend who was the mole in the NSA. That's going to come back at some point, and we have Cade still out there. It's funny they kept using him, but we didn't see him in this episode. And we're going to just find his body somewhere, and, randomly. That'll be interesting. But yeah, so that was the episode, and those are my thoughts on the episode. And going forward, I don't want to try to pick who I think is the mole. After one episode, nothing really has hinted at it, or maybe it has. But those pieces obviously aren't clear. So I don't want to speculate on that. But I doubt that it's Weller. And I doubt that it's Nas. Just because Weller has so much invested in this. I also doubt that it's Patterson because her boyfriend was killed because of these tattoos and everything. So I doubt that it's Patterson as well. Out of those three, Nas is the most obvious. Another reason why I don't think it's her, because it would just be obvious. The new director dude, we don't care enough about him yet for that to be anything. So I'm not going to suspect him, but who knows what can happen going down the line. Especially, this season, more than likely it's going to be 23 episodes just like the first season, and it's a 45-minute show. So a lot can happen. So, yeah. But this is my review of Blindspot Season 2, Episode 2. In Night So Ransomed Rogue, I believe is the title. Very weird title. I have no idea what it means. I even Googled it. And, you know, which, you know, obviously came up with stuff about Blindspot, but nothing else. So, weird. But I loved it. Like I said, I give it an A. So, this part of the video is, of course, really appreciate any support given. Of course, this video is on my YouTube channel. Putting it on Facebook because, you know, I'm really getting serious about my YouTube channel now, and you know, I'm gonna be advertising, you know, my channel. So please, like, you know, go to my YouTube channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be putting out a lot of content. You know, and I'm going to list it out, and you're going to see why I said things are about to ramp up, and I'm going to be very busy because Monday we got Gotham Season 3 starting, and I'm going to be doing reviews for each episode of that. Then Tuesday, next week, Tuesday, we have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4. We're doing videos for each episode of that. Then I believe next Sunday is Quantico, which I'll be doing episodes for that, possibly. Not sure yet. And then a couple of weeks, actually a week after that, we got Flash, Arrow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Supergirl, or Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow. So a lot of stuff. And plus, I will be covering the new show, excuse me, with Kiefer Sutherland, Designated Survivor, and also the new ABC show with oh my goodness, Peggy Carter. What is her name? What is her? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to. Lord have mercy. I'm sorry. I remembered it. Haley Atwell. Yes, the new show she's gonna be on, which is Conviction. So these are just a few things that I'm gonna do. And obviously in 2 weeks, or yeah, almost 16 days, Luke Cage is going to be premiering on Netflix. So, yeah. And I'm not going to be able to binge watch because I'm going to be doing reviews for each episode, which I'll probably just do 2 at a time, 2 a week. So yeah, but that's what's coming up on the channel, and that's what will be, you know, obviously these shows are going to go on break. So it's not going to be an ongoing permanent thing, and, you know, 2 of the shows may not even make it past the first season, so who knows. But that's what I'm going to be doing. Obviously, I still like to play video games, and video games is a big part of this channel, and it will continue to be. So I just have to juggle some things. But yeah, like I said, I'm getting very serious about this, and I would appreciate it if you guys joined me on my ride. Also, my last video, my Suicide Squad movie review, I believe it was, I did mention my ongoing journey to getting healthier, to lose weight. I will be documenting that, because that's something I'm going to be actually starting more strenuously. And it's something I would like to document, not an everyday thing, just updates of my progress that I've made, and I like to put it on YouTube as just an extra motivation for me. So, yeah. But again, please guys, I really appreciate it if you gave the video a like, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any suggestions, if you want to tell me how you think I did, don't tell me I sucked, leave it in the comments below. Again, this video is also on Facebook, so comment on the video itself, share the video to help me out, so people can see the kind of content that's going to be on the channel. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and to play out, I will catch you guys later.